Today I'm going to try to draw this monastery in the Kaheti region of Georgia, and while yes, I'm drawing another monastery, this one is quite different. There are a handful of unique structures on the grounds here, so I took a few minutes to walk around and find a scene that really caught my eye, and this one did it. I had pretty high expectations going into this drawing, as it's such a stunning reference, so let's see what I can make of it. If you're new to this channel, I'm learning to draw while traveling the world, and currently, as mentioned, I'm in the country of Georgia. If memory serves, this is the 5th or maybe 6th country along the way, and this is drawing 101. And while it may not be all that great, it's a heck of a lot better than the first. So if that seems interesting to you, subscribe to the channel. Anyway, so if you have been following along, this will be my last drawing from the Kaheti region, and this stop was actually on our way back to Tbilisi. Honestly, I could probably spend a few weeks exploring just this area. There's so much to see out here, so many beautiful subjects and scenes I could be drawing, but it's time for us to head back to the city. Maybe someday I'll find a guest house in the mountains and rent a motorcycle or something. I think that would be cool. Regardless, I think this made for a nice final drawing, even though I really don't like it all that much. So let's talk about that. Getting started, I tried to block in all of these big shapes you see here, and for the most part, I think that went well. Right off the bat, I wanted to get everything set, making sure I didn't fall into any of the details, just working out the composition and the proportions. I've mentioned this in the past plenty of times, but this approach is not always my strong suit. In fact, I'd say it fails more often than it succeeds. And I think that's because it tends to feel like there's a lot to fill in once I have all of the basic shapes down. And that makes me feel like I don't have time to focus on any one thing. I either rush through everything or I take ample time on a single piece only to leave other ones blank, which wouldn't have been a problem had I just left that part of the paper completely empty rather than build out its frame. So yeah, drawing in all of these outlines was probably not great for me here. I wish I'd just started with one part and slowly built out from there. And if there were empty areas, so be it. Who cares? That's better than lackluster ones. And bouncing off of that, you may also notice that it wasn't just the outlines, but also the details. I weirdly kind of blocked those in as well, which I know doesn't really work for me. And what I mean is that instead of filling in the details once the silhouettes were there, I went back through a similar process and blocked in like the windows and the doorways and whatnot, working all over the page rather than home in on one particular area. So maybe I would draw these windows in the top left, giving them a bit of detail, but only enough to be vague, and then I move over to the wall at the bottom or something. This method consistently confuses me. It always fractures my attention, and I never make the most of the purpose of this type of approach. I think I do it when I want to be really careful of the entire composition, maybe because I'm really pleased with the whole scene of the reference or whatever, and I'm nervous that I'll get carried away with one thing and accidentally ignore another. I've been dealing with this kind of stuff since like literally the beginning, starting with those light, unconfident lines, and it just seems to evolve over time. I still feel anxious about how well or how poorly I'll be able to represent a scene, so I have these unconscious coping mechanisms that pretty much never work out. I've learned to bypass most of them, and I think I've loosened up considerably over the past few weeks, but I'm always finding new ones that crop up, and the only thing I can do about it is call them out and try to stop doing them. Ironically, I think this approach itself is a good one, at least the part in the beginning before I get to the details. But over and over again, I find that it doesn't work for me. So either I need to resist the urge and just stop doing it, or I need to find out how I can make it work for me. If you like to draw and you have one approach you prefer over another, I'd love to hear about it, so let me know. As I finish up, you can see what I mean come to life before your eyes. My details are scattered and unintentionally minimal. I think that texture would have been something for me to really lean into here, but that fell by the wayside for the sake of that overall shape, which turned out fine, but doesn't really make for a nice drawing. Oh well. So there we have it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, where you think I went wrong or right. Maybe you love this drawing, I don't know. And how you might have approached this same reference. Like I said, I think this one was just so beautiful to me, maybe too beautiful. And that's kind of all I could think about while I was drawing it. I really just didn't want to mess it up. I really wanted to make the most of it, as I do with all of my references. Although this one in particular is pretty captivating. But that awareness was just constantly present. I couldn't shake it, and it made me just way too cautious where I should have been a lot more carefree. I think that would have helped me a lot with bringing out these harsher textures, which ultimately I think is kind of the point of at least this tower in the center. Anyway, if you enjoyed this one, please like the video, and if you have any thoughts for me, leave them down below. I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.